story that we are tracking this hour is the fact that Google has reacted on the hefty fine imposed by the Competition Commission of India. Google said that they remain committed to users and developers in India and are reviewing their decisions to evaluate the best next steps. Google also added that Indian developers benefited from the technology and keeping costs low. Google's model powered India's digital transformation and expanded access for millions of Indians. Remember, the CCI had imposed two hefty fines back-to-back, one worth rupees 1,337 crores and another worth rupees 936 crores, and all within a span of 7 days. The matter pertains to Google demanding app developers to mandatorily use the Google Play billing system for receiving payments for the apps that are distributed or sold through the Google Play Store. So what we are trying to decode and deconstruct for our viewers here is that what does this order signify? So as per CCI, Google, which is the entire basis on which the Android ecosystem runs, is following certain malpractices where the CCI has directed Google to modify its conduct within a defined timeline to not emphasize on users who are downloading apps from the App Store, to definitely stick to just the Google authorized paying method. There's a very interesting data I have here that I can share with those who are tech savvy enough to understand what this means. Well, Google, I will break it down in the most simplest form. Google faces allegations of excluding rival UPI apps because Google has its own. And these UPI apps are excluded to become effective payment options on the Play Store. Now, how Google is doing that is that Google Pay has been integrated with intent flow methodology, whereas other UPI apps can be used through a collect flow methodology. Now, the difference between these two methodology in very layman terms is just that the intent flow methodology that Google Pay uses within App Store is something that is way more user friendly. So it automatically kind of pushes any user to opt for the Google Pay system. This is just one of the things that CCI has raised. But to discuss more on this, I am joined by Vinay Saraugi, who is Senior VP Digital Content at Times Network. Vinay, thank you for joining us on this conversation. So if you would like to weigh in with first comments, in India, as per the latest data that we have, 95% users are on the Android operating system, which leaves very little scope for any user who is on who's using an Android OS phone to evade the App Store. And these are huge fine sums, over 2,000 crore rupees. So does Google's statement today make any sense to you? Do you think that what they're going to do is going to be enough?
No, so see, you're absolutely right. And Google, or for that matter, any party has a right to go to either a higher court or regulatory authority to seek what they feel is their point of view and justice in that sense. However, there is a broader topic I think we need to understand here, which is that Google obviously has this kind of market share in Android, which is around 95%, and in online search, which is actually 98% plus. So nearly every user in India searches content through Google. Google as a search engine is just irreplaceable for any of us. Now, that is created by the technology that Google has, and of course they have invested a lot in it. So in that sense, it's fair on their part to seek good revenue streams out of it. However, it can't come at the cost of the other stakeholders in economy. In the case of the erstwhile kind of CCI orders, the app developers and the ecosystem which is around fintech, which is UPI players, etc., who went to CCI complaining that we are not able to find a way in the Google ecosystem which is unfairly using its monopoly in a way in the space. But I would like to also raise another issue here, if you have a moment, which is that these kind of complaints are further lined up with CCI. There is one by news publishers. I
Yeah.
also say this because as a uh, news publisher, uh, and someone who's in the business myself, see, Google is a very, very important stakeholder for any digital news publisher, for that matter, anywhere in the world. Because what happens is, as we discussed, that 98% plus of online search market in India is controlled by Google, right? And they control, in that sense, both discovery and distribution of digital news. Because today, if you are a user and you are, say, in today's case, you are in Delhi searching about pollution, traffic, any national political story, or anywhere in India for that matter, right?
Right.
Google is the kind of a middleman that you will use.
Yes, it is the big tech giant, right? It is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only one whole and soul. About that, I also, in fact, it's great that you mentioned that, Vinay, because that was going to be my next question for you. That when this search engine big daddy that we have, which is Google, how are news publishers, are they adequately compensated? Because we do a lot to rank on Google. We are trying all these SEO tactics, and Google is definitely benefiting. But what are news publishers getting in return? So this kind of like this monopoly that Google has on search engine results and all of that. So how are news publishers benefiting, or where are we sort of not being able to meet Google at that point where there's an equal sharing and there is transparency? I feel like transparency is something that is the need of the hour with all of these big tech giants who are, who have exercised monopoly in different areas, like what we saw yesterday with WhatsApp going down. There are several other messaging platforms, but the penetration of WhatsApp is such that most users felt handicapped if WhatsApp is not working, because that's definitely the one app where everybody they know is on. Maybe Telegram and Signal have taken a backseat. So similarly with Google. So do you want to shed some light on this transparency aspect? Is that something that the CCI is coming in at?
Yeah, see, there are multiple layers to this question that you have raised. One is, see, if a company is investing in superior technology, of course, it would want return at some stage, and we all are aware of that, and we all appreciate it, right? So, in that sense, if Google has this kind of a reach, as long as it's coming on the back of the kind of investments over the years and decades that they have made in technology, it's in a way admirable, right? Similarly, say WhatsApp, if it has the kind of reach. That's one part of the thing. Second part is that when you have that kind of a reach in a market where internet is expanding so fast, right? In India, particularly mobile internet is still growing at a very fast pace.
Yes.
In that environment, as a news publishers, we are faced with this unique scenario wherein the audiences are growing, but digital news business per se is still facing a lot of challenge, and Google will have to become a partner with publishers, because you see, if you look at some of the developed economies like Australia, France, they went to regulators and governments, and either of the two, or in some cases both of them, compelled Google to pay for news.
Right.
That may not always be the best option, but that ends up happening when a fair sharing and kind of be it in the form of a compensation for news content or some sort of a revenue sharing mechanism. So I think there will have to be, because there's already, as I was discussing,
Yeah.
a case which CCI, I think at the DG level, is investigating, much like these two cases where Google has been penalized. And the reality is that today news organizations are in a way compelled to give Google their content,
Yes.
to give their web links priority on Google's search engine result page. And Google doesn't adequately kind of compensate news publishers. So how do we change that? I would actually wish that we need to solve for the two things: that adequate compensation or revenue sharing has to happen, and best case scenario will be that if Google was to be forthcoming and work with publishers in this space.
Right.
And the second is that transparency and fairness has to be there, because it can't be that Google bought and algo and its function remains a little bit of a mystery, because there is always a broader guidance. But I think Google has to see news publishers as partners in this space, and also be very clear that news is not like any other creator economy space. News is a very, very serious business. It takes a lot of investment and effort to do good journalism and news. We send reporters to the ground. We spend so much of effort in production, editing, etc.
Hefty production costs. And Vinay, thank you for sharing all of that, because it's like giving voice to all of our concerns, because we know how much effort goes into ranking on Google. And then, as you said, I think partnership and transparency are the two important poles on which we can build a better relationship as news publishers with Google. Thank you so much for joining us, Vinay, and sharing those views. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.